Hey everybody, welcome to the Whozer Adventure YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me tonight. And today is, we're going to take the BadAss jig and take it another step. As you can tell from the title, BadAss Jig's got a sister and she's hot. So again, this is just another spin-off of, that jig that I've been working on for quite some time. And so I'm going to put some pictures up. A lot of the material that I'm going to be using you can pick up on Amazon. So I'll flash up some stuff and I'll put the descriptions and links in the description of the video title to make it easier on you guys. And I think you guys should give this a whirl. So let's talk about this jig. It's probably, I wouldn't say one of the most unique jigs, but it's a different style of crappie jig. And what makes it so much more different is the way it swims. So your typical crappie jig is in vertical and swims like this, okay, and pitches down. This jig swims horizontal, okay, and pitches up, okay. Now you can use a polymer knot or a loop knot, either one on this jig. It performs exactly the same. Now it has an extremely slow descent. Because of the horizontalness of it, it kind of floats down kind of like this, which should keep it in your strike zones much longer, especially when, the crappie are in, that shallower water, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 foot of water. This jig will hold suspension in that horizontal descent and stay in the strike zone much longer. And not only that, but it kind of pitches up, okay? So it doesn't fall like this. It falls more like this as it comes down, which causes these tails to really flutter, okay? And that's what actuates or sets off the trigger motion, the vibration from these tails, or what I believe triggers the strikes. Okay. Now, this is not a jig, round ball jig head. Okay, and that's what kind of makes this jig kind of unique. So it's tied on a Pro Fly number 8 carbon steel hook. Okay. And then we're going to use a 5/32 ounce tungsten bead for our head, okay? Now, this particular jig, the one you see in the title and stuff, I've had out videoing it and stuff. I haven't really fished it a whole lot yet, but I like the way it looks in the water, okay? And this jig is going to start just like any other jig we tie, other than it's going to have this style carbon hook where the eye of the hook is kind of angled downward, okay? And then your tungsten bead is going to be tucked up nice and tight right here, okay? So we're going to start with our super glue, our Loctite gel. Yes, I finally got some. And I guess I'll put my glasses on so I can see first. I encourage everybody to, try to tie some of these up and there we go. And see what you're seeing out there. I really like the look of how this looked in the water and its presentation. Now I'm going to start with a 200 denier thread. So a little bit smaller thread. I'm going to pull that tungsten bead up tight, and I'm going to start wrapping right up tight to that tungsten bead. And then I'm going to bring it slowly down. Now we're going to wrap this clear to the hook point. I've been showing my buddy Sean pictures, and I've been working hard on this jig for, I don't know, the last, I don't know, probably 8 or 9 days now. Trying to get it all nice and perfected and stuff. So, kind of proud of it. It's just kind of weird how one jig has kind of, you know, paralleled so many other jigs to come out. Okay, so once we have our thread wrapped on there, we're basically going to go to our tail. Okay, and it's the same scud NIF tail that I've been talking about, that I buy on Amazon. Again, you know, I'll flash some pictures of everything up on the screen, and put the Amazon links in the description, so everybody's got it. Basically, this is a single tail, and even Sean was kind of like, you only use one tail. And I was like, yeah, it really is enhanced in the water with this style of hook. Really going to a double tail, just didn't, the performance of the jig, in my opinion, wasn't there. And by going to a single tail, truly allows this jig to swim in a more natural state, which I think is going to help it really lock down. Okay, so basically what I've done here is I've made a single wrap all the way down. Now I want to cross this as I come back, and that's what's really going to lock this tail in position. So you're just going to do a cross wrap on it to help it lock down, and hopefully you can see this. So I've done a cross wrap, bringing it back, which is holding that tail perfectly centered on the hook shank going back. And that's what's really critical in order to get this tail to swim in the manner in which we want it to swim, okay? We want this tail not to be up or off to the sides because of how it glides down. The water will pitch that tail up and cause it to flutter as it's going through the motion. And I shot there's a video at the end of this video, or part of this video, where I put this jig in the water, and unfortunately it was a little bit cloudy when I did it, which kind of, I don't know, to me it kind of skewed the video just a little bit, but it's still a good video, don't get me wrong. Okay, so the legs or the skirting that I'm using on this, basically all the skirting is going to do, so as this jig glides down, you have this orange tail back here. And what we want to do is we want to break up that contrast, okay? We want to give it, as it's gliding down, the skirting is kind of pulsating behind it, and it breaks the contrast of this tail up, which is another trigger point for the crappie or bluegill, okay? So I like to use, you know, some skirting that's kind of got some flash in it here. You know, different colors. There's some reds, some greens and stuff in here. Just to break the contrast of the tail up. Okay, that's all I'm trying to do here. So, and if you're using the small skirting, about I use four pieces is what I'm putting on here, and just to break that up a little bit. Missed. I'm going to use the same cross stitch, so I'm going to make some wraps all the way back to the tail formation here, and then I'm going to use a cross stitch going back to lock it in place. We'll get everything all trimmed to how we want it here in a minute. But basically, so you can see that the skirting just kind of goes around that rear tail, and then as it's coming down through the water, you know, it's just breaking up that orange a little bit. Okay, so once we really get it to this point right here, this is where we want to start locking things in kind of tightly, okay? So we're going to put a couple whip finishes in here on this stuff. It's going to do a handful of things. It's going to lock in our skirting, our tail, and our tungsten bead. Okay, so this is nice and secure now. So this color here is the Chanel. This comes from Woods and Water Outdoors, but you can see it's got some greens, some yellow flake in it, and then it's all set with the tan, which is going to help just with contrast more than anything else. Okay, and pinch you off just this little small portion so that you can get your wrap started, or your tie started real easy. So, and then you just want to tie it back to where, you know, basically we're going to get it to the end of the tail here. And then what I like to do to secure it back here, because this is where the action is going to take place, is I'm going to do a crossover right there and bring this back up. Okay, so now we're about done with our body. We just got to wrap our Chanel. Now I'm going to go kind of slow here so you can see. So I'm going to start back here. Sorry about that. GoPro shut off again. Imagine that. So I'm going to kind of angle it just a little bit so that that tail is full back here. And then slowly, keeping your body consistent, you just want to bring that body forward now. Okay. So once you get it up here, basically, you know, tie in your Chanel. I like to give it a couple of really good solid wraps, make sure we're good and solid. We're going to whip finish this in and secure everything now. Okay. Now, as you can see, the jig is disproportionate. In other words, the tail's way too long. If you fish it this with the tail this long, you're going to end up with a ton of short strikes. So now we want to bring it kind of proportionate. Okay. And basically, this is the point where I want to make sure that this tail back here has got its swim fins. So I'm going to bring it about right there. Okay. And then what I want to do is I want to make sure that my skirting is proportionate now to the tail. So I want the skirting to be just in front of the point of this tail. I want that tail kind of sticking out. See what I'm saying? So as this goes down, it's fluttering. It's got plenty of room to move. Like this one might be just a little long. Yeah, I must have missed him. Not much, just a little. There we go. And really, this is the look that you're going for with this style. Now, the cool thing about this jig too is if you like to use a fly rod for crappie fishing, this is an excellent jig to do that with. Okay. If you're fishing extremely shallow water, you know, I would use a 3/0 size split shot about 14 inches up. And if it's really shallow, I would say under 5 foot, I wouldn't use a split shot at all. I'd let the jig just naturally do what it's going to do. There's enough weight in that 5/32 ounce that it's going to bring it down. Now, it's going to take a few minutes, or a few seconds for it to get down to depth. But it's going to have a very slow pitch. Actually, it's going to pitch like this. It's going to have a slow pitch. It's going to look like kind of like the space shuttle coming in for a landing. And it's going to have that slow pitch with these back here fluttering around. So it's going to have, this is going to have way more of that bug look to it, like a bug sinking action. And I wish the video was just a little bit more clear because the water that I was videoing this in was probably about this deep. And yet the jig never really ever touches the bottom because it's fluttering down. And then just before the bottom, I mean, all you got to do is, you know, on a medium light or a light action rod is just lift your tip of your rod, and this jig then goes to a horizontal swim and starts descending until it'll level itself back out and go back to this kind of a swim. And then you pick it up here and it just does this. So it's a very unique presentation. So I'm anxious to get this one out. I think this is an awesome opportunity for an ice fishing jig. I think it's going to do very well under the ice. I think it's going to do really well in the early spring and this time of year, late fall, as the crappie are moving up more closer into shallower water, you know, that 5-10 foot. You know, I think this jig would do really well in. Where I don't think it would do super well is, you know, if you're in 20-25 foot of water, I don't know that this jig is going to do that well in that deep of water. Now, you may have to adjust your hook because of the style hook that this is. You may have to take some pliers and open this up. If you start getting short strikes and not getting a hook set, try opening this up just slightly. This is a barbless hook, so you know you want to make sure that it gets sunk in real good, or you'll miss some of your crappie. And I've adjusted a handful of them already, but pretty proud of this one. I think is really a compliment to that BadAss jig line, and I look forward to some of your guys' comments on what you think about it, and hopefully some of you, if you tie this up, you know, send me pictures. I love seeing it. I got some pictures that I'm going to be sharing in some upcoming videos of some of the jigs that you all have tied that, you know, you've emailed me, or some of you have even texted to me, and I want to get those pictures up because you guys have done, I mean, there's some really good looking jigs, and a handful of you just started doing this, and it just goes to show you that, you know, your creativity, you know, is pretty spectacular. So, and there's nothing better feeling than catching crappie on a jig that, you know, you hand tied yourself. So anyway, so if you like the video, do me a favor, please, guys. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up. And I'm not sure my mic was working. Give me a thumbs up and hit that subscription button if you're inclined. We'd love to have you be a part of our family or adventure family. I do a lot of jig tying on this channel. If that's not your cup of tea, I also do outdoor cooking. You know, we put up handfuls of videos from community projects to just plain, you know, state parks. So there's a true variety here. And we enjoy sharing that with you. And don't forget to hit that notification bell. That way you know when we're uploading a video. So enjoy the video coming up of this jig in the water. And I look forward to the comments. So send me, you know, put some comments out there as to your take on this jig and what you see and what you think of it. And, you know, until next time, guys, always remember, please be kind, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Y'all have a great evening. Good night, everybody.